So obviously why we're out here in Sturgis this year is awareness, once again, on human trafficking. And Sturgis Rally is one of the biggest events here in South Dakota, along with hunting season. So our job is to just make the public aware of what to watch for, and it's also to make the traffickers aware that we are watching them and that we are aware that this could be a possibility here and that you're not welcome.
And then also to just bring recognition to the marginalized populations that are targeted in response to their issues with socioeconomic or relationship issues that make them an easier target to bring into the trafficking market, and then not recognize that they are in fact being trafficked until it's too late. They're already in.
And the other thing is, a lot of people think it's just girls.
Oh, I know.
It's not, right?
It's not.
It's boys too.
It's boys, it's men, it's women,
Yep.
it's girls.
Yeah.
It's all of it, and not all of it is sex trafficking. There's labor trafficking
Right.
that we have to be aware of in our restaurants or our hotels and in those kinds of industries as well.
And we're seeing that obviously on and off the reservation.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I mean, I think people think it's just either on the reservation and we don't have to worry about it in our communities off the reservation, and that's just not true. It's everywhere.
It is everywhere. 74% of us live off reservation now, but we live in areas of town where we're easy to find or easy to locate. So if you were somebody who was interested in a very certain thing, you would know where to go to get it. And so in order to bring awareness to the human trafficking issues in South Dakota, we have to go to the population that's being targeted the most in this state. Other states, it'll be a different population, but the MO is the same. They go to where the vulnerable are at, lure them in with promises of a relationship or food, clothing, shelter, basic needs. And by the time that they realize that they're being trafficked, they're already in the game, so to speak. Their words, not mine. I would never call it a game, but they do. And we have to be able to speak their language if we want to be able to make an impact. We have to know ourselves what to look for and how to respond if we want to be able to educate others on what to look for and how to respond. And the same goes for our first responders. Oftentimes those who are first on the scene are the ones that get the most raw response to what's happening, how they got their injury or what brought them to where they are at. And without understanding signs for trafficking or signs for sexual assault or signs for domestic violence, we may be missing that piece to start that healing and to start that response to what brought them here. And so being able to have these kinds of conversations with just anybody who shows up, we have no idea where they work, what they do, what their experiences are, just to provide them with some of that information, talking points, and where to look for resources, I think is critical to getting a handle on this situation.
Yeah.
So the creation of a coordinated effort or a multidisciplinary response team or a community response plan is important to make sure that we're covering all the bases, to make sure that the right people are at the table, sharing what they're seeing, their resources, so that we can talk about trends that are out there and all stay aware of the situation. And so me being able to communicate what's happening in Indian country and take back what West River Human Trafficking Task Force is doing to Indian country in response to what prosecutors are seeing, to what the nurses are seeing, is a great way to stay on top of this, and to have those consistent meetings and conversations is a great way to stay ahead and do those prevention efforts and awareness efforts.
The nice thing here at Sturgis, though, just here at the booth that we have here at Buffalo Chip, is we've had the opportunity to have other organizations from Wisconsin, I think it was Arizona, that are also making their states aware of trafficking and missing and murdered Indigenous women. So, I mean, it's neat when we start seeing other women out there fighting the fight that we're trying to bring awareness, and I love that part of it.
I do too, and I love the fact that we've also touched somebody from the UK.
Yes.
And another group of women from Canada who are here visiting our state for the rallies, but we're able to have a conversation about their First Nations crisis with missing and murdered Indigenous relatives and our response as well in the United States.
I think the other thing that I would like to make people aware of, obviously, we're getting out there, making the public aware of what to look for and if you see something, say something. That's kind of the slogan. Is as parents, as communities, you need to get more aware of what you should be telling your children, what they need to be watching for, whether they're on social media, internet, anything like that. I think it's important for them to start getting involved. They can't just leave it to the schools or to other people. They need to get involved.
I agree. I think talking points are important because sometimes we just don't even know how to start that conversation or what kind of questions to ask. And a lot of our kids, like we talked about earlier, do not even recognize that they're being trafficked. A lot of the adults don't recognize they're being trafficked. So just to have conversation about where they're spending their time, what websites are they hitting, who's been in contact with them, do they have any new friends, just like you would ask about how their math homework went or how their day at work went. Just to have that conversation going, to keep aware of what's going on in their lives so that we ourselves be able to understand who they're coming into contact with and who might be seeking them out.
Yeah. And we need to get back to community where, when I was younger, my next door neighbor would tell my mom if I did something, we shouldn't be doing, We just need to get back to community and helping one another and educating our kids, so.
Be mindful of what's going on next door, be mindful of what's going on down the streets, and be a safe place for kids to come or others to come in the event they needed something. And just that whole generosity and loyalty and fortitude and honesty that comes with being a good neighbor.
Yeah.